up into lane. We are still waiting for that one to be locked in. It is going to be taking away just the combo pieces for Samira Alistar, and RNG have their options wide open in the jungle position.
Yeah, RNG definitely could just go towards something like an Olaf, which, as we highlighted earlier, Beishang has said in his opinion is kind of like the S-tier premier jungler. Graves is the other one that would come to mind if they want to go towards that AD jungle option, but instead going to go back to this Pantheon. And the thing I wonder is where Suning will go in terms of support, because I actually think Alistar is a pretty favorable matchup into things along the lines of the Leona. We have seen one answer come out into the Alistar has consistently been the Maokai. It's one of the only times you actually see Maokai put into the support role is up in the Alistar matchup. Of course, you have lane prio, you have some disengage there as well. You're not as tanky as the Alistar, but you at least have complete control of the laning phase.
I totally agree with you. I feel like Maokai is not really a strong counter, but kind of it's a weird one where you kind of out-utilize the Alistar and try to disengage from him. On the side of Suning, they are going to pick up this Aatrox. We do have to mention that this is something that Angel can play too, so it technically could still be a flex. SofM definitely eyeing some of his champion pool. He has another wide open selection, and Nidalee has been on the forefront. She probably has been the highest priority out of any of the jungles that we've seen so far, especially coming from guys like Xun, from Kanavi, and SofM is going to lock that one in.
Also, just looking at Suning's comp so far, right, it has so much sustain. You have the Nidalee heal, you have the Aatrox coming in with the Gore Drink on the Sterix Gauge, you have the Immortal Shield Ball on the Samira, so Suning's composition already going to do really good in elongated skirmishes where they're going to be able to use all of this lifesteal their composition is building. For RNG, very interesting that they picked up in the Xayah in the earlier rotation. We didn't really talk about that. We have seen a bit of a resurgence of Xayah, but it's been a lot more into these compositions that kind of like what RNG drafted last game, where they kind of have this one punch, throw everything at you, that Xayah ultimate kind of counters and can just kind of shut down and play safely and still be a bit of a 3-item carry. Picking it up first rotation, I would say, is a bit bold, but RNG are going to go for that. They also have the Lillia, so the fact that you do have this more 3-item carry AD means you could potentially go for that Moonstone or newer build and just try to out-heal the side of Suning. I don't know if that'll work, though, with Suning's first 3 champions, but it is an option.
It does look like to me RNG is trying to run this kind of disengage composition. Like you were talking about, they have a lot of tools to keep targets away, and hopefully a lot of sustain if the Lillia does go for the Moonstone Renewer. And luckily for the viewers, we are going to see Angel finally forced onto a different champion. He's been playing 4 games of Victor so far. He will have to show his hand at something else. And taking a look at the champion pool so far, the Twisted Fate is open, the Galio is open. Does seem like Suning... Zoe as well. What do you want to see Suning round out their composition with?
I think I definitely like something like the Zoe, obviously pairing well with the Nidalee and giving you a bit of like option in terms of, well, you have these components that work really well in like close range skirmishes. You have long range pick potential as well. It will give you like numerous tools to pick off champions like Xayah, who, again, you're not going to waste the Xayah ultimate for a bubble, but Angel going back to a bit of a, I wouldn't necessarily say signature, but he's had some highlight plays on the Azir in summer, and Suning just continuously going towards these like farming, scaling mid laners. Of course, Azir is a champion though that can generate his own prio if he does go something like the lethal tempo, so I don't know. Suning being a bit interesting with their draft this time around.
They can't really make up their minds between Maokai, Nautilus, and they finally do lock into Maokai like we were talking about. A very common counter pick that we see in the LPL against the likes of the Alistar. Whether it's super efficient, I kind of on the fence about that one. But Suning do round out their composition with an interesting array of different ranges that they fight from. Samira obviously very close range, long range on the likes of Angel and Huanfeng and SofM. Well, on the other side, RNG do go for the Gnar. This is a champion that I feel like just tries to keep his distance against the likes of an Aatrox. How do you see this matchup and this final last pick coming out for RNG?
I definitely like it for Xiaohu. Again, I don't think this is necessarily like a hard-won matchup for Gnar. I think you do have more tools, obviously playing from a range. If he does go for his like EW, you can just hop away, but you shouldn't necessarily have any solo kill pressure onto Bin. And then at the level 6 mark, if you do want to blow something like a Flash's Aatrox, you can blow Gnar's Flash and like have some sort of kill threat on him as well. I do agree though, the thing I'm interested in is Suning's comp from how it plays from all these different ranges. Like, the theme of the comp isn't really that, like, it doesn't have a lot of synergy. But at the same time, I think RNG's composition isn't that good. I don't know how else to say it. I don't see how it really fights into what Suning can draft. You don't have a lot of engage. You can't really just run in. Even if you do run in, you're running into either an Aatrox Samira, or you're just going to get pushed away by the Azir wall. I guess you could potentially look for picks on side with Lillia and Gnar, but there will be a point where Aatrox should just outduel the Gnar. So I don't feel like RNG are going to have too many ways to, like, push an advantage forward in this game.
It looks like both teams have drafted rather long-range, kind of slow compositions. Outside of the Samira pick, there isn't a lot of like hard go-go buttons on either side of these team compositions. They both have great tools to keep each other away, but not really to go in on each other, I guess is what you're saying.
Yeah, and I definitely feel like Suning have like a bit more tools. Again, the fact that they at least will outrange RNG. If we get to the point of where we're just kind of both fighting over waves in mid 5v5, Suning should just be able to poke out RNG and like turn to control river.
We are hearing the Xayahs finally come in. Both Suning and RNG fans have had their say on the matchup. Now it's the time for the Colonel to have his say, and he's going to favor RNG slightly by 52% to 48% on Suning's side. And we are having a bit of a dance-off so far. I gotta say, Xiaohu does have the better moves right here. He seems like he has the better APM in that one, so that's gonna give the dance-off award is gonna go to Xiaohu.
Xiaohu, again, a man of many talents, which is why we do appreciate him here on the LPL broadcast. But looking at these comps and kind of theorizing how these junglers will play out, I mean, when you look at Xayah Alistar, this isn't really a bot lane that screams, hey, we want to get things going, we need attention, so you don't expect way to interact with that lane that much.
Now, this is a cheeky play by Bin, actually starting out with the W and catching Xiaohu. He's going to get a great trade on the level 1.
Yeah, but so great trade. Now the problem will be that, I mean, Xiaohu should be able to generate pressure on this first wave. He lost about 20% of his HP. Xiaohu now should feel a bit of safety knowing, hey, he doesn't have Qs. He can't really look to trade on me other than that initial trade. So nothing really going to change with the matchup. I think we would like to see Wei definitely play more around the top side, though he's obviously signaling he's full clearing towards bot. But for the side of SofM, I don't think you necessarily need to create a lot of action. You do have gank opportunities, I'd say, in both side lanes. Obviously, you could always like use Malphite to flash onto Xayah early and set up for a spear. You do have gank opportunities in top, though I'd say less guaranteed between the hop and the flash from Gnar.
Now, I think we have seen most teams do tend to play around the bottom side when they are running the likes of Samira. Maokai does offer a slight knock-up that she could follow up on through her Bramble Smash right there. And I just want to go and talk a little bit more about this Maokai pick, because I find it super interesting. Mainly the Maokais we've been seeing are the AP Maokais with the Mandate, Imperial Mandate, just for the extra damage. But to me, it always felt like it was a pretty situational sort of dot. You only get double damage inside brushes. How do you see this Maokai kind of working out in this composition?
It's a pick that I've been very torn on myself. And again, in LPL, we've pretty much mostly seen it just picked into the Alistar. And I'm on the same wavelength as you, where I don't really think Maokai is like a hard counter into Alistar. You realistically can't go in on him. He should just out-trade you with base damages unless you're playing through brushes. So it's a lot more about just generating wave priority. Ooh,
but that being said, we do see a flashing coming in from On, and a follow-up. They only get the heal away from Gala. So 2 summoners burn for 1. They do get lane prio, and with that, they are going to take away the scuttle away from Wei. So this is an interesting summoner trade. I like when teams really go for these asymmetric trades using summoners to get advantages.
Yeah, and this goes back to what we were just talking about, that Maokai, you have a lot of pressure in the laning phase coming from your saplings, obviously. You have disengages. SofM is getting pretty low.
Cryin actually is coming in here, but the smite does come down. SofM, is he going to be able to get away? He still has his flash on this one. However, Cryin is chasing very close. Wei now goes in with the flash of his own, and SofM does fall down to the last tick of the Dream Dust right there. Very well punished on the side of RNG. They saw the pathing from SofM, like he wasn't trying to hide it, went straight through mid lane, and Cryin basically called wolf on that one.
Yeah, and we do see the... Oh my god, Ming.
Oh god. Ming definitely not looking for that trade. However, a great flash from Gala does get so much damage onto the likes of Huanfeng, and they're going to find the kill. A great use of the Blade Caller right there. On also falls down, so it was a perfect bait by Ming. He flashes the emotes. Gala is going to win out on the 2v2.
I'm not quite sure if it was meant to be a bait. It is kind of tragic if you think about it that had Gala and Ming walked around that brush like earlier, obviously I think Gala would have been the one to go down, but yeah, nice play coming out from Gala and Ming. It didn't look like it was going to work out at first. We are going to see a bit of power now coming out with that Moon Quiver for the Xayah. Still, I don't necessarily think it really changes the dynamic of bot lane all that much. Malphite and Samira definitely going to feel a bit more threat on them, but again, Xayah isn't really the kind of champion who can really push these advantages much further.
All said and done, RNG actually getting off to a great start into the early game. We are going to take a sneak peek at how that trade actually went down. Ming flashes away, and watch Gala as he just finds the perfect flash into Blade Caller. I believe that was Blade Caller flash actually to get the hooks into the likes of Gala and finish him off.
Yeah, it did look like a Blade Caller flash. Great mechanics coming out from Gala. We've known this since he's especially joined the RNG roster in 2020 summer, where he just has such like crisp pop-off plays where he can completely take over a team fight with some of his like mechanical reactions. Sometimes though, it does go a bit too far, but you know, we don't need to talk about it if it hasn't happened yet.
And if he goes too far, that's just the LPL. That's not on him. I totally understand that situation. SofM, he did die on the previous Raptor Invade, but he's going in for more. He does have priority in his mid lane, but is only able to get one small chicken away from the likes of Wei. And the play once again fizzles on both sides. We are seeing more trading happening into the bot lane. A sizable lead for Gala at this point, as he's able to outtrade with the clean cuts. However, Huanfeng does find the honey fruit, and they do peek into the jungle. Seems like a lot of action from SofM, trying to push the tempo, trying to push the invades. However, RNG are defending very well with all three of their lanes.
And this is where RNG have, I think, always been like consistently good, right? It goes back to our conversation about Xiaohu earlier, but I think RNG is a team. They're more selfless, more reactive. They're like willing to give up their lane state and come answer in enemy team play. It doesn't always work out, as I don't think it should, because obviously if the enemy's playing into your jungle, they typically have like tempo or vision or these things. So should RNG always be taking these fights? No, but it is working out in instances like this game where they are finding the early gold leads.
I think the big question for us is still, which team is going to be able to set up a win condition, because neither side really has a definitive edge over the other side. We do see a little bit of a sneak in from Suning, trying to get vision away from that Dragon Pit as they do the blue handoff at the same time. And just judging by the vision score, even though RNG has won out on the bot lane, it is still very firmly in Suning's control when and where they want to start this Drake fight.
That's the big question mark again, right? I don't know how much it matters that RNG get ahead early when we keep talking about the formations that these comps take in team fights and like the practicality of them. It just looks like it still favors the side of Suning. I don't think it's like as black and white as it was the previous game, to where RNG definitely still have some like power points. Obviously, the fact that Xayah is getting strong, Cryin could always hit a massive ultimate, you have the rage bar, like there is tools there, but these aren't very guaranteed tools. They will take a bit of outplay, and I would even say in circumstances, some mistakes coming out from the side of Suning.
Seems like it's all about execution in this one. In the meantime, we do have Wei sneaking away the Herald. Probably has a pretty good inkling on where SofM has been pathing towards. In the meantime, SofM is going to take his red. He is going to pop up towards the top side instead of taking this Drake, which they do have priority on. Okay, now he's reacting. He does see the Herald go down. He knows his bottom lane is likely on the map a little bit faster. They're going to pop straight towards the Drake. And they also should have knowledge that Cryin just based. So I do expect Suning to just be able to take away this one.
Up and again, just trading on opposite sides of the map. One thing I think is very interesting, actually, Ming is feeling aggressive again.
Double knock up, but the flash doesn't really yield a good angle onto SofM. He's going to be able to walk away with this one. They do defend their own blue buff in the process, but I doubt that that was worth it on Ming's part. He's going to come into his lane without a major summoner, and SofM once more is just going to try and keep tabs on that Raptor. He is playing this game so brazen, just walking up forward, trying to get that. But in the meantime, I feel like Wei is actually just out jungling at this point. He's up in CS, he's about to be up 2 objectives, when I felt like SofM could have just settled for the Drake fight instead of going for blue.
I mean, the most amazing part is when you consider that Angel has controlled mid lane the whole time. He actually has about a 30 CS lead right now.
Oh, but the fight is going on right now. They know Ming does not have his summoner. However, Ming is actually going to take down the likes of On not really having his ultimate in that one. And Cryin is going to use his Shockwave. Huanfeng a good flash away from that one. It's going to be all about who gets this Drake. A smite was used a little bit early, but still okay. He gets it with the swipe. And Suni equalize on the Dragon, but do lose one member in the meantime. Xiaohu is punishing Bin pretty hard right now. He does get tagged up by the Umbral chains right there, has to flash out of that one. And all in all, I would say that is a bit of a small win on the side of Suning, with Bin getting the summoner on the top side.
Yeah, that was pretty tragic from the side of Xiaohu. He's the one winning the trade, but he's also the one forced to flash. Just getting a bit too aggressive. Not exactly... seems like knowing the limits of his champions in the matchup, which is to be understandable, but still, I'd say not an excuse. Going down towards that bot lane skirmish, I think shows the reason why me and you don't really consider Malphite much of a counter to Alistar, even though it's kind of picked in the LPL as a pseudo counter. Malphite's just not very tanky, even with taking the Aftershock. Alistar with his level 6 mark can just pretty much all in you, has higher base damages than you with, you know, you're not hitting an E from a brush, and they just burst him outright.
Ooh, very good flash on the way from Angel. He is able to escape from this one. Hex flash burned by Ming, so he doesn't really lose anything in the meantime. Great find on RNG.
I also want to see if Angel's just outright buying a Nashor's Tooth, or just going to sit on that recurve bow and make his way towards his Liandry's Anguish still. Because, I mean, typically you still see the Mythic finished first on Azir before heading towards that Nashor's Tooth, but obviously bought the very early recurve bow.
There's been some pretty nutty Azir builds that we've seen. I think the Luden's Tempest is still the mainstay, but we have seen first item Royal Eyes, we have seen Everfrost, and all different manners of mythics actually being built in the preseason on this one. So I'm super curious on how that one is going to pan out as well. In the meantime, we are going to see a pseudo 3v3 pan out here as RNG just push their lanes a little bit forward and do find an extra plating right here. I'm not sure if Wei was actually found out on this trade or not. SofM has definitely been spotted. And we are going to see Wei just overstepping. He probably thought that SofM has already left the scene, but he gets bursted down instantly. Gala can't find the Blade Collar stun onto SofM, so even though the Ignite does go down, he's going to be able to walk away quite comfortably.
Yeah, Suning are the ones to find the pick. Sadly, not really going to be able to transition this into too much. Maybe some bot side vision control, as we do see On making his way into RNG's jungle and getting a bit of a ward, but... still nice pick. Again, it didn't look like Wei thought that SofM would still be around, and Suning's bot lane especially just having a ton of burst, add a Nidalee spear into that, and I mean, Wei was gone as fast as he was there, and now having no time for the Rift Herald, Wei is just going to have to drop it in his base.
Also taking a look at the top lane itemization, we're actually seeing something quite different here. The Gore Drinker coming out from the Gnar. Typically we have seen the, oh my god, that was a massive spear. Typically we have seen the likes of the Divine Sunderer being picked up by the Gnar in the top lane, but going for something much more melee focused. What do you feel about this one?
I'm still unsure. We actually did see this earlier today as well. I think Zoom built the Gore Drinker in that first matchup as well. I think in matchups where you aren't getting as much out of the like percent health damage, I could theoretically understand it. Maybe especially if Wei wasn't to go for that Moonstone Renewer build, but I would think Divine Sunder would just outright give you more straight up damage and DPS throughout the game.
Yeah, definitely has seen that one, but we do have to remember the buffs have been, a lot of them towards the Mega Gnar in the recent patches, with the lowered cooldown on the wall up, the extra attack speed as he does the jump into transformation now. So, you know, maybe these players are trying to feel out different builds, and of course, Gore Drinker is still OP.
We also need to remember that Gore Drinker was nerfed, and though I don't feel like the active damage nerf hurt it that much, the one where the heal now is calculated sequentially on multiple targets, I think does feel pretty bad because you're healing a lot less since your heal is off of the your percent of missing health. so you're not healing as much when you like get the 4-man Gore Drinker proc as you were, say, last patch.
I have to admit, though, I didn't feel that nerf whatsoever watching Zoom play that champion. Was there actually a nerf? I'm not sure there was.
To be fair, Clement, there were also... Oh, I guess on the Gnar we didn't see it, but when he played the Aatrox, I'm just saying, there were 4 Ocean Drakes, Moonstone Renewer Lillia. I mean...
That is true. He had a perfect scenario.
He did have a pretty good time in that game. Pretty good time.
As we are talking about the Gore Drinkers, Aatrox definitely going to pick that one up as well. And this is going to be a free Herald towards the top side of Suning. Wei is nowhere near the map on this side. He's going to go for the Drake instead. The Mountain Drake has just arrived, and it just looks like a straight trade of objectives between these two teams. Which side do you think actually comes out ahead here?
I still favor Suning just for the fact that, again, compositionally, it feels like they're on like a better pace. It doesn't really mean too much in my eyes if RNG do get a dragon. It's just so interesting that we see every game Suning just opt into like slower paced early games, playing more for like farm and individual leads, not necessarily looking to like use lane tempo to transition into like 3 or 4-man plays. And RNG, for whatever reason, deciding this game, hey, let's handshake and do the same thing.
Interesting comps coming out from both sides. We are going to get the Ocean Drake, which is a huge boon to the likes of Maokai. He's going to get a lot more brush room to play around. We do see the sleep coming down from Wei. They're going to try and combo SofM, and surprisingly enough, not enough damage as he goes into the stopwatch, is able to heal himself. Wei is still looking for that kill, but on the meantime, this is developing into a 10-man skirmish. RNG are trying to save Private Wei, but he's way too far behind enemy lines. He's not going to be able to get away from this one. I don't think the execute is going to come through either, and Angel does pick up the solo.
And this goes back to the reactive play that we've been talking about for Suning, right? They've been happy to just kind of let RNG be the ones to dictate a lot of the engages and benefit off of their mistakes. It looked like it was going to work out at first. Good sleep coming out from Wei. Ming is there, but like you said, they just didn't have the damage. Gala, Cryin, these guys weren't there to follow up. A bunch of TPs come out. We have the 10-man play. And ultimately, we're in the same spot that we were 2 minutes ago. Both teams just farming really on opposite sides of the map.
Only 300 gold between these two teams right now. And like we've said, you definitely seem to be favoring the likes of Suning in the later game because of the range advantage that you've mentioned from the likes of Azir and the Nidalee. But how about the bot lane in Samira and Xayah? Because Samira is a pretty interesting champion. We've mainly seen her in this kind of snowbally formation where you try to hard camper and get her on as many kills as possible and use that mythic advantage with the Immortal Shield Bow. But how well does she actually scale in your estimation?
I definitely don't think she scales anywhere near as good as, like, say, something like Xayah to get more items. I don't even think you should theoretically be able to get in range without pretty much getting bursted out. And even the pick in this comp just feels weird, because it actually feels like Huanfeng doesn't necessarily need to do anything, and as long as he just kind of like sits back, lets RNG come into his comp later, lets Angel push them away, en route them down, even if he's just hitting auto attacks onto like Ming and Xiaohu, that Suning should just win the team fight anyway.
You're saying that this is basically a takeaway pick. It's like, we don't really care about AD carries, but we sure as hell don't want Gala on this pick. We're just going to take it on their first rotation. Doesn't matter. We're not really going to do much with it. And I actually kind of respect that. There are a lot of picks in the LPL that are just kind of played that way, you know, just a takeaway.
I mean, the fact that they took away a pick that doesn't, you know, like we're saying, doesn't synergize with their composition perfectly, but we still think their composition has an advantage, I'd say it's a big plus.
That is true. You know, you get the tier list and you get the comp advantage at the same time. We are seeing Xiaohu constantly pushing in the likes of Bin, that advantage that he's getting just in the range matchup. It is starting to mount to a breaking point in that top lane, as we do see Xiaohu once again hitting on that turret. SofM is going to go towards the top side. He's going to try and alleviate that situation, but he is spotted out in the meantime, and we all go back to the quiet farming phase of this game.
I also like that Suning are contesting this topside Scuttle Crab while still having complete control of bot side river vision, so Suning still taking control over the whole map, and I feel like a lot of it's also coming off of this pressure from Azir, which we haven't really been talking about. He has kept Cryin pushed in all game long, and it is one of the benefits of Azir. Even though you are this kind of late scaling champion, you do just have so much control and priority over the mid waves. Maybe we're finally getting action. Nope, Clement Shu, we are baited once again.
We're really wishing for a standard LPL game. There should be at least 15 kills by now, but we're only sitting at 6. A lot of slow picks in this meta so far. And we do see the build finally completed from Angel. He did go for the Liandry's Anguish first, and then pivoting himself into the new Nashor's Tooth. No cooldowns on this one, but does do a little bit more damage on the item in Season 11.
I also feel like the build path just feels so much smoother, which is so important in competitive plays, like how the back timing synergized recurve blasting on an amp tome now. It's also pretty crazy that he's already at 2 items. I mean, we look at Cryin. Cryin's just sitting on a tier and tier 2 boots on top of this, so it feels like Angel should have a bit of a DPS advantage at this point in the game if a skirmish or team fight breaks out.
Definitely agree with you this one. And now with the top lane tower being taken out by the likes of Xiaohu, I do think both teams are going to gravitate more towards this Drake fight. Angel once again establishing his dominance in the mid lane, while Bin doesn't have his teleport and is going to have to rush back home for a quick buy. He is going to pick up the Sterix Gauge rushing into this one. RNG are set up already, but with the poke on Suning, they could very well dissuade RNG from starting on this one. It is going to buy enough time for all 10 members to arrive, and I think the fights are finally going to erupt. We're going to get what we paid for, what we all came to see. SofM almost gets the steal right there. The ultimate is blown by On, and Bin is going in onto the likes of Ming. Does force the flash. Bin goes over the wall, but he is 1v4 in this cubby. It's going to be a little bit dicey for him. He is able to get back over the wall, and RNG win out pretty nicely on this one. They take away the 3rd Drake in the ocean, and all of their members are still kept alive. They kept most of their summoners outside of the flash for Ming, which doesn't really matter.
I'll be honest, it looks like Suning are just getting bored. I mean, RNG took the dragon. You have no real way of engaging. Bin just jumps forward and says, you know, I don't care. I also want to see something happen. Can't find anything. RNG just walks away scot-free. That was extremely anticlimactic, and I was actually going to predict, watch Clement, these 2 teams are just going to stare each other down. Nothing's going to happen, but hey, the Colonel is firmly in the side of Team RNG.
The Colonel definitely feels like he favors RNG overall. We've seen in Game 1 and Game 3 both times, giving almost 70% odds over to RNG. I guess my question for you is, since we're settling into a long one, do you think we're going to break the record again? Do you think we're going to have another longest game of the LPL?
My prediction for this one is we're going to randomly hit... Well, RNG are going to get the soul point, and then Suning are going to opt into fighting them, and then 9 people will die, and then the game will continue, so yes.
Okay, Lyric Damus, we are going to go by that prediction. It's going to be 9 kills in a team fight, and we are going to hit the longest game of the LPL.
I'm just
Boys
kidding.
and girls.
No, we're not. I'm walking that back. I'm sitting on the fence. This game will probably end around 35 minutes. I don't know why I'm predicting this. I don't know why Clement Shu is pushing me to do this, but if you're a new viewer here, he's the famous coach of Season 4 Ninjas in Pajamas. We let him do what he wants on this broadcast.
Thanks for the leeway that you're giving me right here, but I just wish that some action would finally happen. Xiaohu actually getting a pretty good trade. He's going to dance away from that one. And I do have to mention that Xiaohu is actually 3 kills away from joining the 2,000 kill club in the LPL. We've been waiting for that lower third to pop up, but we never got the chance since there's been no action whatsoever coming in the top side. He will join the likes of Rookie, SMLZ, and Uzi if he does secure those 3 kills this game.
Also so weird that, thinking about it, that Xiaohu is going to secure that milestone as a top laner, out of anything else. But hey, Game 1 was a good step towards getting there. Now we'll just be interesting to see if they do get there this time around. And I guess something we can hit on is just talking about items a little bit, since we haven't really, is that Sterix Gauge also got a change out there for anyone who doesn't know. You now do get healed after you take damage or deal damage yourself. So that's why you're seeing all these champions that build Gore Drinker build Sterix Gauge right after it. It just has really good synergy with all that sustain.
Oh, I just think it's a banger of an item. Angel actually getting a lot of HP taken away by Gala right there. Great trade on his part, using the ultimate very aggressively as well. Angel, however, is able to hold on to his flash, and in the meantime, Xiaohu once again bullying into the bottom side. Is gonna just use that range advantage to the maximum, and this is gonna be the second tower that he's about to take down. RNG definitely shifting gears and going into a 1-3-1.
And they're punishing Suning, you know, like, so much. We do know Suning's composition much more about these 5v5s that we've set up, right? Contesting mid-wave, laying down the poke, you have the engage, you have the disengage, you have all these tools available, but RNG aren't letting them do that. And we saw this in game 1 where RNG just kept running Suning around the map and kind of playing this macro game of pushing waves, control vision. I don't know what Angel's TP was, but he gets blue buff. That was a bit of a head scratcher.
It wasn't me with the question marks. It was RNG, as they definitely saw that teleport go down. Kind of interesting, maybe looking for a catch onto the likes of Cryin, who is just in the top side, but he doesn't get that at all, and it's a pretty big waste in terms of a summoner there going down for Angel.
We have been seeing that it has been Huanfeng and on the ones in the side lanes, like picking up like stray farm and stuff like that, so you wouldn't really see him use it necessarily for a side lane play, but now if action does break out, you're not going to have that, and you were just able to walk to mid anyway, so yeah, we need to be critical here. Big blunder by Angel, that was not good, but hey, we have Dragon up in 28 seconds, and the fact that we have Dragon up and Suning are actually on the map this time means they might be able to find the fight they want.
And in this setup, I do see On actually getting a lot of damage down right here. It is the Ocean Soul, so the map is covered in brushes, especially around this ridge where everyone is trying to contest Dragon. He does have the Imperial Mandate done already, and Suning are doing a pretty good setup, hiding themselves on the backside. They don't have to go into River necessarily because they do have the range advantage. However, RNG are going to try and draw them out. They're going to be the ones on this objective first. They are chancing it. We do see the flank from Suning. They're trying to collapse on multiple angles, while RNG are keeping themselves open to potentially retreat from the flank. Xiaohu goes and gets a flash out of Angel. Kind of a weird play there, but SofM actually steals the Drake away. Very interesting play from both sides. RNG instantly back up as the noose does close around from both sides right there. SofM, you know, we always called him almost a Dandy-esque player. He is the Prince of Thieves in the LPL. Had that split where he found 7 Baron steals in regular season alone, and he's still on it.
You know, that was a bit tragic in my eyes for both sides. Obviously really sad that RNG ended up losing the Dragon. Angel, though, paying way too much respect, in my opinion, with his flash for Xiaohu. I mean, he sold ultimate, he still had his dash as well, so just kind of blowing another summoner. And I'm wondering if Suning are starting to play a game of seeing like how much they could like waste and get away with and still beat RNG.
Is that an actual strategy? Let's just give summoners, maybe we still win. That seems like an interesting take on the situation. I'm not sure I've heard that one before.
You know, let's be honest, that's not what happened. I don't really know why I said it, but hey, you know, Suning are doing something.
I think the craziest game that we have seen in the LPL is FPX all take Gathering Storm and say, hey, IG actually, all take Gathering Storm and say, hey, let's just try if we can win without one rune. And they still did.
when you mention FPX, we could remember 2019 summer when Doinby played Jungle Skarner, because I remember that. That was a pretty
that
weird
was
game.
An interesting one.
I think
there have
played
been some
Aatrox.
games. Oh, I remember that. There have been some games in the LPL where one side is just like, I can skill check you so much that we're willing to actually just experiment in this BO3. It doesn't really matter.
I'm sad that I can't remember who it was against, but I remember Doinby getting first blood, which again is Doinby playing Jungle Skarner, so I don't know if that should happen, but it did.
Well, at least Doinby probably secures a fan in Captain Flowers, as he is a Skarner fan right now as well, and which probably makes him a Seraphine hater too, like most of us.
You know what's interesting is I've actually seen some LPL mid laners playing Seraphine, but hey, we're gonna ignore that because it looks like we're getting a bit of a siege in mid, as no RNG are going to respect it and back off.
Xiaohu might be caught out right here. He is on the flanks going in. Does look like Suning don't want any piece of this. They're going to be retreating from this one, and he does tag down On. Great dodge by Xiaohu, but isn't able to catch up onto his boomerang, so that chase is going to fizzle out in the meantime. And we're just having pushed into counter push coming in from both sides, but I don't really expect both either to be able to get a decisive fight going here. Let's see if that does happen. Bin looks like he's about to go in. Wei takes a bunch of damage for his troubles. But at the same time, Suning really don't have the engage to follow up on that one. The push dissolves on either side. And once again, 2 long-range team fighting compositions just can't seem to get the sparks flying.
Yeah, this is like the interesting thing, right? Where RNG are kind of the ones who have the cards in hand to force the fight, to where it feels like Suning are the ones who should win out, as we see in the mid lane, where you do have disengage tools, you do have longer range poke, you can skill check them on mid wave. The problem is Suning then do not have a way to follow up if RNG don't full commit, which when you have Gnar, you have Lillia, you have like the Xayah ultimate, you never need to full commit.
Talking about committing, Suning are definitely going into this one pretty...
Clement, you jinxed it. You jinxed it, Clement. You said committing.
I feel like this is a couple that isn't sure if they want to move in with each other yet, and they're just testing each other out. They're like, RNG, they leave their toothpaste on the floor, and Suning's looking at Xiaohu, and he's like, do I really want to move in with this guy? He probably has BO, so...
I feel like it's more like the husband and wife where they already have a kid, and like... Suning are that parent that's trying to decide if they go out for that pack of cigarettes, never return or not, but they're just kind of like stuck in their head, just, deliberating, hey, where's my life?
I'm not sure if both parents go off to the cigarette store. That's not usually how the story goes, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. We have very different childhoods. I'm not going to go deep into your personal history on this one.
We've said a lot of cynical, pessimistic things. By we, I think I mostly mean me, but you are here for the ride.
We're both super cynical. That's why I'm not a play-by-play, because I don't have humor to back me up. However, we are going to see a team fight actually go down. There's going to be 3 people tacked up by the ultimate, but still no commits, still no committals. The couple are not moving in together. They're still on the fence. They need to see more out of each other.
And we're not even on soul point for either side by the fact that SofM was able to steal away that Drake.
SofM is going pretty low. Xiaohu goes in but whiffs the ultimate. However, On is going to die in his stead. Bin is holding down the ramp right here. They do find Huanfeng with the shockwave, but are unable to close down on the deal. RNG, it looks like at least they are going to inch forward to that Ocean Soul.
Yeah, they're going to pick it up, and Suning just giving up. I'm kind of surprised they don't feel comfortable just sitting in front of the objective, and again, throwing out more Nidalee spears, using the Azir soldiers offensively, and they're just going to back off towards topside, get vision control potentially for this Baron. But hey, we did say LPL team, a lot of top LPL teams just typically start it up, but hey, we just keep jinxing ourselves, Clement. We just keep doing it.
How many Barons are we going to see this time around? Because in Game 1, there were 4 Barons taken by RNG before they could close the game out.
There is an update after that fight, though. Xiaohu only needs 2 more kills, Clement. 2 more kills for the 2,000.
Let's go, and he hits the 2,000 club. SofM is going to get tagged down a little bit by Cryin here, and the Baron does help out on the side of RNG. He does have the Honey Fruit, so once again, nothing really to update us on this match so far. We are seeing some interesting item purchases coming out from both sides. We do see the likes of the Randuins come out from the likes of Aatrox is going to be able to reduce the crit damage he takes. And into a replay we go. Why don't you take us through this one and what should have happened?
Yep, we do see Xiaohu go for the hop in, obviously lands the ultimate onto On. He gets taken down early. We see the shockwave come down to lock in Huanfeng, but again, both sides are just kind of easily able to walk away. I think Suning potentially could have looked to lay more poke on at the dragon fight. Instead opted out, want to get more items under their belts. And like you said, we have some interesting item purchases. I think the Force of Nature on Gnar, pretty nice against, I'd say, 2 massive AP threats from the side of Suning. Especially getting that movement speed on the Gnar as well, since he has been the primary engaged target, has been nice. I'd say most other items across the board have been stock standard. And we are at the point where Angel's almost at the Rabadon's death cap. For anyone who doesn't know, the price of the item has increased dramatically. It now costs 3,800 gold, which is why we typically don't see it until that 4th item point now, to where before it could have been a viable 3rd item choice. Even 2nd if you were, a little bit gangster.
A little bit gangster. I love the description right there. If you want to be a gangster, build a death cap. That's a quote from Jordan here on the broadcast.
Hey, I remember when the whole, Morello discussion was going on, Morello Leandries, I just kept saying on the LPL broadcast to buy Rabadons. Which should make sense to the argument, but chat did spam Rabadon salesman, so...
I think that's super interesting. That's such a Hegelian way to get out of a conflict, you know? You have one side, you have the other side, and then you find the middle point that kind of transcends the entire argument. Actually, it isn't either option. It's been the Randuin's death cap this entire time. But talking about that item, we do see it much more as sort of a cap to the build, because with the price increase, the value hasn't actually gone up that much, so it's actually just a straight drop in terms of efficiency for that item. You still get a lot of raw power out of the item, but not as much efficiency, so definitely you want to build it later on into the game. Still serves a great function as sort of an item capper. But I think with Azir, you do have a lot of AP ratios, and it might change the equations on that one.
It is also just, you know, also important to note, when items are too expensive, a lot of times it is just better to hit earlier item breakpoints and, you know, be able to have more immediate power in a lot of these team fights. That wasn't too important this game. We haven't had too many team fights, but...
Oh, TP coming in from Angel. He's probably finally gonna do something in going on to the chase for Xiaohu. Xiaohu does get slowed up, does get pushed back. He's gonna go into Mega Gnar, but it's going to evolve into a 2v2 right here. Cryin is going to join the fray. Angel does get knocked up on the wall, and the combo goes down. The Gourd Drinker comes down, and Xiaohu does pick up a 700 shutdown gold onto the likes of Angel, who's been farming up a storm this entire game.
And, I mean, Xiaohu's just too tanky. We see that Angel doesn't have anything like a Void Staff or anything to, like, bring down his resistances. We talked about that Force of Nature, which he picked up, which obviously extremely efficient against something along the lines of the Azir. Cryin coming in as well, nicer than to find a pick. And we're going to see RNG force a Baron play after that.
Ooh, still 32 seconds onto Angel, and he doesn't have the TP anymore. However, the poke coming in strong on the side of Suning. They find a spear onto Gala, takes him down to half HP, and we do see the ultimate going down for On. Suning are not going to let this one go. Oh my god, SofM actually steals the Baron! This is what SofM has been known for, as Xiaohu whiffs the ultimate, and that was a play that favors squarely Suning.
Yeah, Suning get the Baron. Again, I don't know how SofM does it. Crazy coming in with these steals. On the bright side for RNG, Nidalee's not alive. RNG will be able to get the Ocean Soul, so you could look for more teamfight power coming in, as Xiaohu not gonna get caught out.
Does take a bit of damage, but Cryin is doing a very good job making sure that his other mid laner can survive the burst. And just like you said, RNG is going to take this one down for free. No one really here to contest on Suning's part. Ocean Soul does go over to RNG. However, with that Baron buff, how do you think this changes the dynamics? Xiaohu is going right in for some extra action. Ming is on his side. And Angel, who's looking a little bit flustered this game, is still going to be able to walk away.
It's going to be interesting, right? Because now RNG obviously have more fighting power, to where the siege potential is going to come out for Suning. We will get a replay of this first, though, as obviously the wall comes in. And again, Xiaohu is just so tanky at this point. Angel's not really going to be able to deal too much damage from him. Nice ultimate coming up from Xiaohu, chained with the Cryin ultimate as well. And then SofM going for the steal with the Javelin toss. Does flash in as well and hit the smite. So overall, nice play from SofM. Again, we're going to start seeing a dynamic of where I expect Suning to start grouping up and looking for the siege potential that they can lay out. Again, their comp does have a lot of disengage tools to try to dissuade RNG. And I expect RNG to play out the 1-4, let Xiaohu get pressure on his own, and then potentially turn towards mid lane and look for that engage with the Mega Gnar.
I love that play from SofM. He basically threw out the Javelin toss as a hypnotizing move. Everyone was looking at the spear, and he flashes in the meantime before the spear connects to take away the Baron. It is all about the mind games at this level. Very well done on SofM's part.
Always a pleasure to watch the master of mind games himself. I will once again remind everyone of at Worlds when he did just stop recalls and spam emotes, you know, right under enemy turrets.
That's always what you want to see out of SofM. Style of Me, his full name going right there. And keeping a track on Xiaohu's kill progress, he is 1 kill away. He's going to be from a Gen Xer to a Gen Yer pretty soon right now. He's sitting on 1,999 kills in his LPL career.
And again, with Elder coming up in less than 4 minutes now, we're definitely going to get to a point where kills are going to happen again. So, you know, that's good news, not only for Xiaohu's, you know, record, but for all of us. But right now, it's just all about controlling vision. With RNG's kind of immediate team fight power, they do feel comfortable just kind of walking up to mid wave and threatening Suning, despite the fact that Suning do still have some Baron buffs.
Yep, and it does seem like RNG are once again positioning around this mid lane. They do have quite a lot of catch potential now that I feel like Xiaohu can just walk in on the enemy team like you were mentioning. No one can really punish him, and if we're looking at the player gold right now, he does have a sizable advantage over his opponent in Bin. I believe the most gold in the game right now on Xiaohu, as he has been split pushing almost this entire time.
Yeah, and it feels like we actually might be at the kind of threshold where it just might be too much, right? I feel like there were a lot of opportunities that Suning had in mid-game where they were definitely stronger than RNG. We saw Angel just completely dictating the mid-game with the mid lane. He had push, he had like a 50 CS lead, had a full item advantage, and Suning were just kind of sitting on it, not doing anything. And now you've gotten to a point where Xiaohu has gotten so tanky. I still think, you know, in potentially a 4v4, they can win out if, say, Xiaohu's pushing a side lane. But if Xiaohu joins any fight, I just don't think they necessarily have the damage to kill him before the rest of RNG take out Suning's front line.
We also have to mention the Ocean Soul, which is going to be massive in these fights. Suning doesn't really have enough engage to actually lock down a single target anymore, so a lot of RNG members are going to get massive value out of that Dragon Soul. It just seems like, as you were mentioning, Suning really didn't do enough in the early game to kind of dissuade what RNG were moving up towards, and as I'm looking at this late game, even though Suning still have the range advantage, it seems like the split push advantage coming in from Xiaohu may be a little bit more important.
And let's also mention that Imperial Mandate Maokai, not a champion late game. You do not do anything. You are not tanky at all. You stand in the front line. You are gone in like 2 seconds. Your saplings don't really hurt as much as it did in the early game now that everyone has some resistances or life steal in their kit. So you're pretty much just a warm body to stand in front of your carries and, you know, pray to the gods that they kill the enemy first.
We are going to see some action as SofM does pounce in onto the likes of Xiaohu. Xiaohu, however, is going to take none of it. He's going to walk up straight onto the likes of SofM, and SofM has to pop his stopwatch in a very unfavorable position. Xiaohu does hit his milestone for 2,000 kills. Congratulations to Xiaohu, 4th in the LPL, and he still wants more. He's going to go in. They're going to find Bin underneath the tower, but Bin has a lot of sustain right there, and this might be the comeback play for Suning. Never mind, On falls immediately after he connects the crowd control with Wei, and RNG are going to take a 2-man advantage in this mid lane push.
And RNG can honestly probably push all the way to an inhibitor. They do have a 5v3 advantage on the map. They can look for a dive.
And the push is going to come out from Azir just to make sure the carries can't follow up onto that play. Really good sleep by Wei. Does find the likes of Angel. Huanfeng in 1v3, but he can't do enough damage. The Ocean Soul is ticking. No one is going to fall down. That ends in total disaster for Suning, and it just feels like Suning did not want to retreat. They kept hanging on, and that is going to cost them the series. 4 members down on Suning's part. Only Bin left to defend this one. Actually, members are flooding back onto the map right now, but it's still going to be a 3v5. Very difficult. Xiaohu knocks them back into their own fountain, making sure that they cannot interfere
that game, it felt like they were continuously keeping him in the game. You already highlighted the amazing Baron play where he kind of like baits him with a spear and then just flashes in and goes for the smite, but at the end of the day, it wasn't enough. Really good signs for RNG. We saw their first win up against TT the other day, and we thought, okay, RNG versus TT, we expect RNG to beat them. Just the caliber of players is better. But then coming into today, they just beat Suning, who did beat Top Esports, so, you know, we're going to add a bit of transitive property there and say, RNG looking like a top contender so far.
The most important things for me in this series is definitely the fact that RNG, even with the lane swap, even with the new players that haven't really played at the level that Suning has been, they can definitely match up to their opponents. They're not going to fold in lane. All of them are going to hold up incredibly well. And for me, I felt like Wei was going to be a big question mark coming into the split, as he was pretty much just a bot lane bot with a lot of champion pool issues. He was able to hold his own on the likes of Lillia, which is something that I personally didn't really expect. So what do you see out of the future of this RNG? Where do you think they can go? How high can they fly?
I think it's really interesting because, again, the thing that fascinates me so much is the level of experimentation and fluidity that they're willing to have in their draft and in their play style. It's not like they're saying, hey, we need to camp top every game or camp mid or play for jungle or this, that, or the other thing. They're kind of just willing to draft a composition and say, hey, we have a top carry. Let's play her on top. Oh, we have Gragas top this game. We go bot side. We have a Lillia. Let's enable our Lillia. Like, it's very dynamic. So I think there's a lot of potential there. In terms of player skill, I think that's going to be my big question mark of how good can Xiaohu be as a top laner? Because I think the other four, there's a lot of high upside. I think Cryin and Wei could be two of the best players in their roles. I think both of them still have a way, like a little bit of time before they get there. It's not going to be like immediate. Gala showed good stuff as an AD carry. And I mean, Ming, I think Ming will always be a staple of LPL supports. If the team is good, Ming will be good. So what Xiaohu's ceiling thus far looks pretty good. I'm just throwing that out there. After 5 games, Xiaohu's had some carry performances. This game was a beautiful. Game 1 was amazing as well, but that will be the RNG question.
Viewers, you are a Xiaohu apologist, so nothing in your eyes Xiaohu can ever do wrong. He is basically a god from your description. But I have to agree with you on this one. Xiaohu definitely took it to bin. Even though he did get the counter matchup, it's still pretty impressive to see someone so new to the role able to lay that sort of hurt. He was, I think, the main factor that RNG were able to run away with this one, with how much pressure he had in all of those side lanes. And just looking at this gold graph, it was very much of a slow burner. These teams really didn't have definitive win conditions on either side, but they were willing to play it out. And when RNG finally acquired enough of an advantage just on the side lanes and with the Ocean Soul, they were able to close it out in the very end. So congratulations to them. Congratulations to Xiaohu for reaching the 2,000 kill milestone.
And I feel like some of the other key takeaways from this series is one thing we've learned and confirmed: Suning are going to be a slow burn team. Suning have played every game at a pretty consistent slow pace. They're not going to be this dynamic, punch fast, punch hard kind of team. Control mages in the mid lane. It's been Victor or Azir, which absolutely blows my mind. And I don't know how well it will work. It feels like a pretty decent style from how we've seen all the teams play, but it does feel like there needs to be a bit more, I'd say, proactivity in their arsenal.
Spizzazz is what you're missing right there. And I've got to tell you, I miss Sword Art so much, because at least he made this team into a pick-oriented team. I love the Bard. I love the Leona. Unfortunately, we're not going to be getting that from Suning. They're still experimenting, and they're still going to hold on to that slow burner late game style like you're talking about. So, just taking a look overall at this one, I think we're seeing such different pointers in the meta right now. No one seems to have the definitive answer on how to play the game just yet. We have seen super slow teams like Suning. We have seen top esports almost fully indexed into laning phase and not really have much afterwards. Where do you see this meta kind of shaking up? Because it just seems like there's a lot of comps that are clashing together, but we're not seeing a definitive winner kind of just take over the scene.
I think we're going to end up in a similar place, assuming no big patch changes, really shake up everything. I think we'll end up in the similar meta that we had in 2020, honestly. I expect some mid-game power control mages the Zoe, the Syndra, things that can hold against those like the Orianna, obviously, still to carry junglers. I think it will get more proactive than it is right now. I feel like some things to keep in mind is, you know, it is before Chinese New Year, which LPL always starts off a bit more messy, a bit more clunky than it does get after that. Teams still haven't been practicing like all that long, right? We're only early into our second week of LPL. This is like the 5th day or something. So things will get cleaned up. Fundamentals will be there. Teams will have more confidence in themselves. And I think it will just look decently similar to 2020.
Okay, that's an interesting prediction right there. I do have to take this out of the history books. Typically what we see before the Chinese New Year is teams are incredibly messy, the tempo is incredibly fast, and then it actually slows down even more after Chinese New Year. But I do understand... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I said we're going for the reverse, Clement.
Yeah, let's do it. I enjoy my fast games as well. But first off, we are going to throw a big congratulations to RNG's Xiaohu, who does pick up his great milestone with the 2,000 kills. He is going to be the MVP of this match with 28% of the team's damage, tanking most of the damage coming in from Suning, and having a 4,000 gold lead over Bin.
Again, just phenomenal performances across the day. Obviously, we have game one, we have this game, showing very good knowledge of side lanes, great in team fights, consistently kind of showing up when he's needed. He's not afraid of going forward. In this game, he was the main initiation tool, consistently jumping in and looking for that ultimate. So nice to see that the reinvention of Xiaohu is going according to plan so far. I'd even say better than according to plan. It's exceeding expectations.
Against Bin, I definitely did not expect him to be able to take up an MVP for this game. You can see here, SofM tries to poke him down a little bit. He's taking none of that, goes straight in onto the enemy team composition, and is able to wipe the floor with Suning. I do think this does showcase some of like Xiaohu's earlier traits before the game was over-focused on Uzi, in my opinion. I felt like the greatest RNG squad was when they could actually play 1-3-1 and have these side lanes and have Ryze actually pressure these lanes and then go around the map controlling minion waves. So it is, for me, Xiaohu kind of stepping out of that support role where we saw when Uzi was playing in the last split, he was almost relegated completely to something like Karma, and he had 8 CS per minute. He really wasn't getting any farm whatsoever. This look on Xiaohu is really exciting to me because it's going back to something that we know can be successful.
Well, I definitely think he also has a lot better synergy with Wei as well, which is another change coming into 2021.
But with that said, we're going to head over to a post-game interview that we have with Wendy.